I also would imagine that I'm not the first judge that has made rulings that you disagree with. I would imagine I'm not the first judge that you have looked at up here and said, where in the world did he or she get that from?
That was Judge Matt White in the Benefield trial that we are covering here on Court TV. And he's been getting high praise for his actions in court, the way that he's very measured in handing down his rulings, a lot that have been negative to the defense. But trending in true crime this morning, a Las Vegas judge is caught behaving badly, and now she's facing a public censure for her actions. Scripps Las Vegas reporter Darcy Spears has the story.
In newly published records, Judge Perry admits to multiple violations of the state code of judicial conduct, undermining public confidence that she can be fair, impartial, and properly rule on cases. The commission found that in a divorce and child custody case where the parties are not named, Judge Perry was disrespectful, using profanity and demeaning and insulting both parents. She set aside a divorce decree that had already been approved by a senior judge and refused to hear arguments about it. Recordings from the case reviewed by the commission show Judge Perry yelling and cursing at the father. She asked one of the parents, "Are you a psycho?" That's a yes or no, and said, "Your children deserve a lot better than both of you. I'm going to take her home with me, and neither one of you will see her." Regarding the son, she said, "I'm surprised he's spending any time with either one of you because neither one of you are worth it at this point."
It don't work. He does not want to be in the room with her. He does not want to look at her, and I'm not going to force him to. What part of that is not understood?
In another divorce case, the commission found Perry was hostile to one of the parties, appeared visibly agitated and angry, and refused requests to allow testimony or argument. In that case, after the divorce was settled, Judge Perry put on the record whose side she would have ruled on, saying she was doing so to prevent possible future bankruptcy fraud involving property. But the commission said she had no legal basis to do that and that her statements should have remained confidential. Although Perry admitted to improper and unprofessional conduct, she told the commission her behavior could have partly been the result of taking certain medications for health conditions that she is facing. In a statement to 13 Investigates, Perry wrote, "I have gained new insight from my experience with the commission. I intend to use this experience to enhance my skills to preside over challenging cases and better serve families in our community."
The judge is behaving badly. We are asking the questions, are you buying the excuses that this judge gave in this case? Let's bring in our power panel to discuss this. Still with us, trial attorney and former criminal defense attorney Erica Wilson, along with criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor David Bruno. And joining us here in the studio, former special agent and supervisor of the Department of Homeland Security, Dr. Jason Piccolo, is with us. Asking you all these questions about buying the excuses of this judge. Dr. Piccolo, let me start with you.
Let me start. Wow. The way she talked down to them and the way she is just the professionalism, I don't understand it. Now, you expect, like, from coming from the law enforcement aspect of it, you expect professionalism, especially in court. Now, if she's making decisions based off of her own personal feelings and then you add in a medication, are you going to go back and look at all of her decisions before?
It can have an impact. David, let me ask you your opinion. Medications, you're saying that's the excuse. Have you seen this kind of reaction from someone who legitimately had a side effect from a medication?
Well, I certainly welcome this conversation because the judges on the bench all throughout this country, they have so much power, especially in the family context where she was sitting. I mean, she is there really to determine the best interest of the children. She's there to separate property, and she's there to divorce individuals. And this conversation needs to continue on because of the power from the bench. We need professionalism in our courtrooms, and it starts with the judges up top. It should not be based on emotion, and this behavior absolutely is horrible. In a sense, as far as the medications, the censure does include that the medications were considered as a mitigating factor. She has been ordered to go to training, And she has to go to this training. She has to complete the training. And then she is not being removed, believe it or not. She's still going to be on the bench. The medication, we don't know what the medications were. We don't know what her health issues are. And her attorney has not commented on those two things. But it is included in the decision that it was taken into account as a mitigating factor of the discipline.
Erica, no names, but I just want to know if you've ever seen or been the target of a dress down like this, a dress down that perhaps may have gone too far, in your opinion, from a judge.
You know, listen, I've seen it, and I've been on the other end of it. And for judges like that, I refer to them as judge. I don't give them the respect of your honor, because a lot of judges have what we call that black robe syndrome. I do not believe that this is the result of any sort of medication. I believe that this is just the result of her personality. This is who she is. And I can assure you, once an investigation is done, that you will find that this is nothing new. I mean, judges have to have a certain level of decorum. This is out of order. You are cursing. You are talking bad to these parents. I would not. I agree with the other gentleman. Do we need to go back and start reviewing some of her other rulings? You know, it does not take all of this to be able to be admonished. I've been admonished by Court TV's own Judge Ashley, but not in this manner. She speaks to you in the way of a stern mother. She gets her point across. She never yelled. She never cursed. She never demeaned my clients or myself. These type of things, particularly when judges like that speak to attorneys, it not only lowers the confidence of people in the judicial system of the judge, but then it also makes your clients look to the attorneys as if they have done something wrong. Judges have to be mindful of all these things in their demeanor, because these type of things make us question whether or not you're being truly unbiased or not.
I love that you said that about Judge Ashley, Erica. Not surprising, but she's the gold standard when it comes to decorum and professionalism. But we also are talking about the judge that we're seeing a lot right now here on Court TV, Judge Matt White, in the Ashley Benefield trial. He's been admonishing Benefield's attorney a lot, but take a listen to how he has handled it.
Mr. Taylor, is there anything you'd like to share before I begin speaking?
I think I'm about to catch a whooping.
I have this position, and I understand criticism. And I expect that. I have often said that I think my job early on as a youth sports referee and umpire prepared me well. Those sorts of side comments are just, they're not appropriate, and I would caution you, sir, not to do that again.
Dr. Piccolo, you mentioned that this professionalism is needed in many walks. It's not just judges. But when we're hearing the way that Judge White is conducting himself compared to Judge Perry, what do you see that he's doing well versus how this judge who's in hot water is doing?
Well, you could tell that the referee really helped him out being a referee. Professionalism, dealing with parents, dealing with irate people. But he also, when he gets onto the bench, he knows that his words may be impeached later on if he says something inflammatory or says something that may be appealed later on. So I think he did a great job, and he's keeping it impersonal. He's explaining himself, and he's saying, hey, you know what? These are the facts. This is who I am, and this is how I became who I am. So very professional, and I really commend him for the way he's acting on the bench.
Yeah, David, some people who are in these courtrooms, specifically in family court, they may not have representation every time they're in front of a judge. They may not feel that there's anything they can do. What are options for people who may be pro se and faced with this kind of reaction from the bench?
Yeah, well, those litigants can make complaints to the judiciary. There's a process in every single state. It's not just attorneys that have to follow the ethics, the bench, the judges also. So for our audience, if you do have felt this way, there are options. I mean, look at Judge White here. I mean, it's the manner of communication. It's the tone. Just because the attorneys disagree with the decision doesn't mean that's improper. And this is how it should be, because especially with pro se litigants or litigants with attorneys, you know, that attitude from the bench has a chilling effect Absolutely, a chilling effect. These courts are there to serve the litigants, to determine rights, especially in the family context, like I said, where there's children involved. We need to be thinking about the best interest of the children, not emotions and demeaning litigants and attorneys.
Absolutely. Court TV cameras can't be in every courtroom, but those cameras that were there in this case no doubt helped to prove what people were saying about how this judge acted. That's all of the time that we have for this topic, but I want to thank both Erica and David for joining us this morning, and Dr. Piccolo is going to stick around for more analysis.